Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the major rally that has formed over the last week on Bitcoin. As you know, Bitcoin dropped down to about $107,000 a little over a week ago, and over the last week, we saw Bitcoin rally all the way up to $116,000. However, over the last 48 hours, across the weekend, we've seen Bitcoin slow down, trade sideways, and even to some degree correct. Today, I'm going to be explaining to you why that was always a part of the plan for Bitcoin to go back to all-time high, why it's actually a very good thing that this happened, and why the next few months are going to be ridiculously bullish for the Bitcoin market. So if you want to understand where Bitcoin is today, more importantly, where it's going and what you should be doing about it, then you found the right piece of content. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. If you guys don't know, I have been doing analysis on the Bitcoin market for over 8 years now. I started doing technical analysis on Bitcoin back here. I've done TA on the market this entire time, almost every single day for nearly a decade, over half of the life cycle of Bitcoin. And I have seen just about every single chart formation known to man appear on this market. What we are witnessing right now is a classic mid-movement correction. That's all it is. If we just go ahead and remove all of our drawings here, we can see that Bitcoin has gone through a major rally, major reversal. You can see right here the inverse head and shoulders pattern that formed. You can see the rounded bottom. You can even see very clearly right here, if we go onto a cleaner chart, you'll be able to see this very obvious uptrending level of support that is forming right here. Very, very, very clear on many different accounts that Bitcoin has entered into a new uptrend. We broke this bearish action line, back tested it. We even broke this bearish action line, back tested it. Bitcoin has confirmation of bullishness out on the daily chart from the MACD and the RSI, as you can see right here. Bitcoin MACD extremely bullish. We talked about this last week. RSI very bullish. We pushed up to 60. Now we pulled back down to 55. This is nothing more, at least at the moment, than a mid-cycle correction. We have an impulse wave to the upside going on right now on Bitcoin, and what we have seen over the weekend is just a correction against the primary trend, which is now bullish. And for reasons I'm about to show you based on the CME futures chart, it's actually a very, very good thing that Bitcoin did exactly what it did. Now, I want to show you a couple of different lines that are not so obvious. These are a couple of different lines that most people are not talking about, but I personally think are pretty important. One of them is this curved uptrend right here. Typically, you don't see a curved uptrend, right? But this is built by our back test to 112 back here on the 23rd of August, our back test to $98,000 back here on the 22nd of June, and our back test down to $75,000 on the 8th of April. If you draw a curved line here, it gives us this really strong uptrend that kind of plateaus up here around 120. Well, Bitcoin had briefly fallen beneath it, but if you'll notice, that exact line is exactly where Bitcoin is bouncing right now. That's right. Bitcoin went on a big old rally up here to 117,000, and it's dropped right back down onto this line. And if you look at the 4-hour chart, what do you see? You see a shooting star formation up here, and then you see a very, very obvious bullish hammer formation forming right here on the 4-hourly chart. This indicates that Bitcoin is tightly bound in a range. It's having difficulty breaking bullish, but it's also having difficulty breaking bearish. In other words, if you look out here onto the 12-hour chart, you're more or less going to see what amounts to a form of a spinning top. It doesn't show up very neatly just because of when it happened on the time frame. Maybe the daily chart looks a little bit more obvious here. But in short, what we're witnessing is a healthy correction, and it's for good cause. If you look at the Bitcoin CME futures chart, you will notice that we don't have a gap. It's very important. Something I told you on Friday to be on the lookout for is if Bitcoin does go on a massive rally up to 120 over the weekend, you're going to leave this giant gap in the CME futures. If you guys don't know, there is a theory in technical analysis of the Bitcoin market that the Bitcoin market fills CME futures gaps. Gaps occur because the market is closed on the weekend at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And so if the market moves over the weekend while the market is closed, or at night while the market is closed, then it leaves a gap. A good example is right here. When Bitcoin went on a major rally up to 123 over the weekend, we left a gap here between $114,000 and $115,000. That later needed to be filled. As you can see right here, we filled the gap that was behind it. So if you're hearing people talk about filling gaps, that's the idea. Typically, the market's going to have to fill it. So if Bitcoin had have just jumped up here and opened this morning on Monday at 120, then Bitcoin at some point likely would have had to fall back down to 114, 115 to fill the gap, or even down here around 115, for example. But instead of doing that, Bitcoin managed to trade sideways through the weekend and consolidate its position. Bitcoin did not make any advances for the bears whatsoever over the course of the weekend. Instead, Bitcoin only further further solidified its position here above the next level that I'm going to show you. And that would be this level right here at 114,000 that is drawn in red. If we pull up the visible range volume profile on Bitcoin, you are going to see that that is the shorter term point of control on Bitcoin. After our recent trading, the point of control has shifted from 118,000, which is still a very important point, to 114,000. This is now the point of control. This delineates the border between bullish territory and bearish territory. Above the point of control is bullish territory. Below the point of control is bearish territory. Again, this is the visible range volume profile. We are now above the point of control because the point of control has moved from 118,000 down to 114,000 as a result of recent price action. And in doing so, that means that Bitcoin is now firmly into bullish territory. This is one more confirmation of Bitcoin's bullishness. Just a quick recap in case you've forgotten or you haven't watched last week's videos. We have bullish MACD that went bullish below the zero line. Every time that's happened in the last 12 months, we've seen a major rally on Bitcoin. We saw a 14 interval moving average cross on RSI below the 50 line. Every time that's happened in the last 12 months, we've seen a major rally form, perhaps not immediately, but within the weeks to maybe a month that follows. We have a break above this downtrending level of resistance right here. A break above this downtrending level of resistance right here. We have an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and we're also forming a bigger inverse head and shoulders pattern right now with this small correction that we have. The first inverse head and shoulders pattern, as you can see, gives us a price target that points us up towards about $120,000. This larger inverse head and shoulders pattern with a neckline that's not right here, but instead is right here. This inverse head and shoulders pattern gives us a price target far larger that points now towards $127,000, which it would be an all-time high breakout. On top of that, we have this very strong uptrending level of support right here that gives Bitcoin a lot of confidence that we're going to see some kind of bounce over the next 48 hours. So, with all of this analysis in mind, even before we get to some fundamental factors that are going to be very important, we need to establish what the prediction is. The prediction for Bitcoin right now is that Bitcoin is most likely going to sustain a strong bullish movement moving through the week into the Fed rate cut that is coming on Wednesday. We are all but guaranteed a Fed rate cut of 25 basis points. This will most likely send all markets across the board soaring while crashing the Dixie. The dollar currency index, which is the index that measures the strength of the United States dollar, is heavily correlated to interest rates for reasons that we're not going to get into today. But we do know that the Dixie, the dollar currency index, is inversely proportional to Bitcoin. So whenever the Dixie, the dollar currency index, is going down, which a rate cut will drive it down, this historically leads Bitcoin into a rally. On the other hand, whenever the rate cuts come in, it generally leads to a stock market rally. And you can even see this week we're opening very aggressive on the S&P 500 for the very reason that a rate cut is coming. This will also almost certainly lead gold into a rally. And gold has been consolidating and forming a bull flag here, so it's most likely going to rally up to $4,000 an ounce very soon. All of this to say, we are gearing up for an extremely bullish Q4. So, back to the actual prediction of where we're going. Most likely what we're going to see happen here is the conclusion of this small correction that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 hours this morning on Monday. And we will see a resumption of the uptrend where we will break this neckline of this major inverse head and shoulders pattern that we're forming. That inverse head and shoulders pattern gives us a price target of $127,000. And all of this validates the predictions that we made on Tuesday of last week. The Bitcoin market was down here at 110 and 120. Actually, it was down here, not 120, sorry. It was down here at 110 and 111 and 112. And we made this prediction on Tuesday last week that by September the 17th, Bitcoin will at least hit, it might not be trading out on September the 17th, but on September the 17th, we will at least have hit $118,000 once. Now, we've already almost validated that because Bitcoin hit $117,000 yesterday. When we made that call, Bitcoin was at 110. So we're already like 85% of the way to that call coming true. So we're really looking at this next one since the first one has almost, not quite, but almost been vindicated, and it most likely will be with the rate cut. The second call that we made last week on Tuesday was by October the 15th, Bitcoin will hit $130,000. In other words, moving into the end of September and moving into the beginning of October, because of the extreme bullishness going on in all markets as a result of this impending rate cut, as a result of the major rally that's going on in the S&P 500, as a result of the tariff fears subsiding, as a result of gold rallying, Bitcoin is almost certainly going to break all-time high in October, which will lead us into a blue sky breakout which will lead us to minimum $130,000, although in all likelihood, we will probably pass through $130,000 up towards $140,000 to $150,000. Bitcoin is a market, in conclusion, that follows gold, and it outperforms gold, no matter what Peter Schiff wants to tell you. Bitcoin outperforms gold, and gold has been performing exceptionally well over the last year and a half. In fact, gold is up 73% in a year and a half. Now, Bitcoin's up like 300% in the same time, but this does show us that another major impulse to the upside is around the corner for Bitcoin, and a blow off top Q4 is very much a possibility. I sincerely hope that doesn't happen. I hope Bitcoin marches up to 135 or 140, has a 20 to 30% corrective movement at most, and we just blow the roof off the 4-year halving cycle. But regardless of what I want to do, it is becoming painfully obvious that a major rally is coming on Bitcoin, and Wall Street thinks the same thing. Farside Investors, for example, has shown us that over $1.5 billion flowed into the Bitcoin ETFs on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We made our call on Tuesday, right here, right before all that happened, and then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, over $500 million a day flowed into Bitcoin. On Wednesday, $741 million flowed in alone, and you can see here on the total cumulative flows for the Bitcoin spot ETFs that a major uptick is coming right now. So, what does this mean? This is something that has to remind us of a concept that I coined back in 2021, which is called the altcoin engine. Right now, altcoins are looking very good. They are going to do very well. But for the next 45 days, Bitcoin is going to be the golden horse. It's going to outperform everything. It's going to knock your socks off, and it's going to make you a lot of freaking money if you have investments in Bitcoin. After that happens, Bitcoin will plateau. Maybe it's 130. Maybe it's 140. Maybe it's 150. Who knows? We'll see. I think it's going to be somewhere between 130 and 150 that Bitcoin stops out at. At that point in time, the United States S&P 500 and the gold market are probably still going to be very hot while Bitcoin is taking a break, which means that investors are going to be very aggressive. There's still like $9 trillion sitting in money market accounts in the United States. That is when people are going to cycle profits out of Bitcoin as Bitcoin takes a small correction straight into altcoins. And it's November, December when you're going to see things like an Ethereum hitting $6,000, $7,000, when you see Cardano going up to $1, $2, maybe even $3. This is when the altcoin season is going to come. Bitcoin's going to have another impulse to the upside, then Ethereum's going to follow, then the altcoins are going to follow. It's the way it's always worked. It's a trickle-down effect. It's a waterfall. Money flows into Bitcoin after it's had its day. It flows into Ethereum after it's had its day. It flows into the altcoins, and that's where you see this altcoin engine effect where they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. We've seen Ethereum performing very well even while Bitcoin's been off of all-time highs. Ethereum is sitting right here at all-time highs as we speak. So the next 3 to 4 months are going to be crucial. If you have investments in Bitcoin, great. If you don't, you might want to correct that mistake before it is too late, because a major uptrend is coming to Bitcoin, and I don't want you to miss it. I want to teach you everything that I know about Bitcoin because it is one of the most important things that you will ever learn. They don't teach you in school anything about money because they want you to stay slaves. And Bitcoin helps you to wake up to the reality that you are a battery like the humans in the Matrix. And when you unplug and when you realize that they're using you, that's when you can do something about it. And the way that you are able to opt out of this broken system financially is by acquiring as much Bitcoin as you possibly can to rebel against central banks that want your head on a plate, or at the very least to harvest you through inflation for all of the money that you will ever earn. Get a little rebellious? Get a little radical? Yeah. Bitcoin is the answer. So if you haven't already acquired Bitcoin, the time to be able to acquire it anywhere close to $100,000 is starting to present itself in the rearview mirror. So I highly encourage you to get acquiring Bitcoin. I highly encourage you to join our Discord server where we can grow alongside each other. And that's one of the last things I want to talk about here is our Discord server. Guys, I love our Discord server. I love talking to you guys over here. It's one of my favorite things to do. We've got so many people over here that are trading, investing, making money. This guy right here made 435% on a Bitcoin long. That's incredible. We've got a bunch of other winning trades over here, for example, plus 194%. This guy went 170x long on Bitcoin, made 200%. 200x long, 200%. 25x long, 100%. 26x long, 150%. 121%, 39%, 210, 365, 181%, 62, 39, 36, 147. The list goes on and on and on. Plus 1,500% on a SOMI long. So many people are trading and making money over in our Discord server, and I want you to be one of them. And I want you to be one of them so bad that I'm going to let you into the Discord server for free. Now, the Discord server is normally $50 a month or $419 a year. That's a lot of money. I know. So I want to give it to you for free. But I got to make it make sense for me, and I want to make it make sense for you. And so we've partnered with my exchange that I personally do my trading and my investing on, and it's called 2bit. And 2bit is the best place in the game to do your trading because they are the most well-equipped for you, the trader. How does this overlap? When you sign up for 2bit and you deposit $100, I am going to give you 1 year of free access to our Discord server. All you have to do is sign up for 2bit with the link in the description box down below. You're going to get access to the Discord server for free for a year. Really amazing stuff. While you're at it, 2bit is also going to give you free stuff. Depending on how much trading volume you do, you're going to get free Ethereum, 0.006, 0.018, 0.04, 0.1, 0.35, or even up to 1 Ethereum you can earn, not even win, but earn based on your trading volume. So, if you want to get free money from 2bit and you want to get access to free education over here in our Discord server, I highly recommend that you sign up for 2bit with the link in the description box down below. And all you have to do, deposit $100 on 2bit, send us a screenshot to my sales manager and community managers, Malachi Pats at CryptoJeb.com, his email, and he will get you access to the Discord server for free for a year with a coupon code set up proprietary for you through Teachable. I look forward to meeting you over there. I look forward to getting to know you, and there's a lot of growth coming very soon to the Discord server. We got a lot of really cool stuff going on behind the scenes. We're expanding our team. We're about to bring on a new employee. Very excited to expand our operations and help teach you guys how to succeed in cryptocurrency. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell everybody that you can about this channel, the #1 Bitcoin technical analysis channel on YouTube. I got the belt over there to prove it. I've been doing TA on Bitcoin for almost a decade, and I want to teach you exactly how to read this market so you can know where it goes next, because I want you to succeed in Bitcoin. It really is that simple. So if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more content. We got a lot of amazing updates coming, and before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.